Now available in paperback and coming to Kindle Unlimited. John Haynes, Dark Succubus. The man who rules the world is tempted by a sultry succubus in this all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get John Haynes, Dark Succubus in paperback or pre-order on Kindle Unlimited today. I have a critical question to ask many of these black males out here. Do you serve the living God or do you serve white supremacy? And the reason why I'm asking this question is because when I take a critical examination of your black male, it's clear to me that he is not serving the living God. He is serving the institution of white supremacy. Now, many of these black males out here, they receive benefits from white supremacy that give them incentive to be a part of white supremacy. Now, in the past, I have criticized many black females about serving white supremacy in books like Why 70% of Black Women Are Single, talking about the benefits they have received under the institution of white supremacy. But I'm seeing that black males also have received what they believe to be benefits under the institution of white supremacy. And one of the perceived benefits that your black male gets from serving white supremacy is absolution of all responsibility over the black community. Now, a man who serves the living God, the Most High, understands that in his life, God has given him a role connected to him being born a man. And the role that he has been given, as related to him being born a man, is being a steward over his community. Now, this role of steward is something that God has ordained for the black man, and as a steward, he has been given dominion over his community, and as that steward with dominion, that means he has the power over the community. He is an appointed leader by the living God, and he is to be a head of household over his family. So your black man has been given a role by the living God as related to him being a steward. However, many black men don't want this role of steward. They don't want this role of leader over the black community, and they don't want the role of a father under the black community because many black men don't want to submit to the authority of the living God. No, because your black man wants to receive the benefits of absolution of responsibility by white supremacy, your black man is out here saying that he does not believe in the living God and he does not want to follow the living God because to submit to the leadership and authority of the living God means that he has to take responsibility over his community and he has to take responsibility over his family. And because he does not want to take that leadership role of being a steward or being a leader and a head of household, he wants to go over to white supremacy because white supremacy gives him benefits that he believes will be better because he believes that if he doesn't have to submit to God, then somebody else will take responsibility for his community. Now, your black man does not want to submit to God because he does not want to have that direct connection to him. Now, that when a man submits to the living God, he submits because he understands his place in God's natural order. Because in God's natural order, it is God the Most High, Jesus the Son of God, who rules over the earth, and it is man who is supposed to be God's steward, followed by the woman and the children in God's natural order. But many of these men don't want to follow God's natural order because, again, they just don't want to submit to the living God. They don't want to hear the Most High's voice. They don't want to hear his instructions. They don't want to get his guidance, and they want to go their own way. And they believe that if they go their own way under white supremacy, they will receive far more benefits under white supremacy than they could receive from the blessings of the living God. And because your black man wants to receive these benefits under white supremacy, he believes that, again, he's going to get a better deal by submitting to white supremacy rather than going out here and submitting to the living God, the Most High, and making his home and stewardship meet the standards of the living God. But because your black man wants these benefits, which is, again, absolution of responsibility, this is the main reason why he wants to submit to white supremacy. Now, this absolution of responsibility means that the black man is not responsible for his community. He is not responsible for the state of his neighborhood, and he's not responsible for the people in his community. So your black man under white supremacy does not have to take responsibility as a steward would, as in taking control over the community, taking control over the women in the community, and providing teaching and guidance to the brothers and sisters in the community. So in white supremacy's order, your black male, all he has to do is just be there and just get whatever he wants and not have to invest anything in any of the communities he's a part of. And when you take a further critical examination of your modern day black male under white supremacy, you can clearly see parallels between your modern day black male and your plantation buck from the days of slavery. Because during the days of slavery, your plantation buck was not responsible for anything as related to the plantation. All he had to do was go out here and have sex with the females, and all of his work was done. So all he had to do was go out here, have sex with the females, and he would be absolved of any responsibility because he could have sex with as many women as he wanted, but he had no connection to the black communities that he was in. He had no connection to the plantation, and he had no connection to the people. And if he ever got just a smidge defiant, what would happen is he would wind up broken by the slave master, who would beat him and in many cases sodomize this man in order to make him submissive to the white supremacist system. But as long as he was out here having sex with all of those slave women and producing all of those illegitimate children, everything was fine for the plantation buck. And when you look at your modern day black male, he is just like this plantation buck. Everything is fine as long as he's having sexual relations with as many women as he wants. But whenever someone asks him to take any sort of responsibility as related to family, community, and to the culture and the teaching of the young children, he says he has no responsibility whatsoever as related to it. He wants to be a part of the community as long as he can get free access to the women, but he doesn't want to be a part of the community as related to building anything in the community, nor does he want to be a part of the community as related to investing in the development of the young people in the community, doing things such as mentoring the young boys and the young men, or teaching even his own children in the way a father would, because when it comes down to your modern day black buck, your modern day black buck only sees his value in his penis, and because he sees his value in his penis, all he thinks about is sex all the time and how many women he can get, instead of thinking about having a wife or going out here to build a business or build a business around a family so that his children could have some sort of legacy. None of those things matter to your modern day black male, because your modern day black male thinks he is receiving so many great benefits under white supremacy that he does not have to be accountable to anyone. Now, your black male, he does not think he's accountable to anyone on this earth. However, those of us who know better and know about the relationship men have with the living God, we understand that we are accountable to the living God. And as we are accountable to the living God as stewards over this earth, we are responsible for trying to teach those who don't know. And your modern day black male does not know, because your modern day black pastor never taught him about his role as related to being a steward on the earth, because this was another one of those sermons that your black pastor refuses to preach in your pseudo-Christian church, because your black pastor is another member of the white supremacist institution, which perverts the word of God and goes out of its way to change the word of God so that it can fit the narrative of white supremacy. And under the narrative of white supremacy, they want to blind the black man, and they want to keep the black man blind, because if they keep the black man blind, then they can get control over the black community, because the easiest way to control a community is to separate a man away from the living God, keep him disconnected from the living God, and keep him from having a relationship with the living God. Because a man who has a connection with the Most High understands his role as a man. He understands that as a steward, he is responsible to the living God. He answers to the living God. He is accountable to the living God. And it is his role to go out here and get the black man back in order with the living God, because in this life and at the end of this life, a man will be held accountable to the living God, and those who knew and said nothing will be beaten with more stripes than those who didn't know. And it's up to those who do know to let the black man know that white supremacy wants to keep the black man out of God's natural order. And the reason why white supremacy wants to keep the black man out of God's natural order is because the white supremacy wants to keep the black man a plantation buck in this system, because the plantation buck, what the plantation buck does is, all he does is breed more illegitimate children in this modern system who become slaves on the welfare plantation. And these slaves are indoctrinated into these public schools to buy into white supremacy, and eventually they wind up going into these public middle schools, which become pipelines to the prison system, which further reinforces their slavery. Meanwhile, the young black women out here are turned into breeders just like the slave women. And your black man, again, he's thinking he's receiving benefits under this system because they absolve him of responsibility, but they don't absolve him of accountability under the order of the Most High. and they don't absolve him of any sort of accountability as related to the living God. Your black man wants to serve the white supremacist slave master, not understanding that if he goes out here and participates in the white supremacist system, he is not receiving any benefits here on earth, and he's not receiving the blessings of the living God. What he is wandering lost, believing that he is receiving some sort of benefits by bedding so many women as a whoremonger, but he's not receiving any benefits at all. In fact, all he is doing is further destroying the community that he says he's not responsible for. Because your black male, he sits there and he says he's not responsible for the black community, but he's still living in the black community. He's still lusting after the women in the black community, and he's still looking to breed children with those women in the community, and he looks to abdicate his role that is most important under God's natural order as a steward and as a head of household. Moreover, he wants to abdicate the role of a father. Now, the role of a father is a very important role in the eyes of the living God, because the role of a father is the role that is of a man taking control over his household, and the way he takes control over his household is a model to his son on how to be a man under the authority of the living God, and it is a model to his daughter of the kind of man she should pursue. And as he is in the home in that leadership role, he is teaching and preparing both his son and daughter with the values that will allow them to be children who follow the living God in their older age. And as a teacher, he prepares his son for the world of work, and he prepares his daughter for what she should experience as a wife. So a role of a father is an incredibly valuable role, but your black man doesn't want that role of a father, and that is one of the things he runs away from when he goes for white supremacy's absolution of responsibility. That's the thing that he fears the most, because he fears he won't be able to get all of these so-called women out here. But what he doesn't understand is that God gave man that role because man's time on earth is limited, and his role is to prepare the next generation to grow up in the living God, with a relationship with the living God, the same relationship he's supposed to have. But because he does not want to submit to the authority of the Most High, your black man, what he wants to do is abdicate his God-given role as a man, and what he wants to do is go out here and have this role under white supremacy, because white supremacy will allow him to be this plantation buck. He will allow him to have as much sex as he wants, and it will allow him to do whatever he pleases, just as long as he does not take that role of a father, just as long as he does not take that role as a steward, just as long as he does not take that role of a head of household, and just as long as he does not start establishing standards for his community. What white supremacy wants the black man to do is allow white teachers to set the standards in the community. What he wants them to do is let Madison Avenue in Hollywood tell his children how to live. And what they want to do is turn your black boy and black girl into these consumers who go out here and are more focused on all of this mammon and focused on all of these material things, instead of focusing on making a relationship with God first in their life. And because your black male does not want to submit to God and God's order, this is why we have chaos in the black community. Because if you don't have the man in his leadership role, then how can he receive guidance from the living God? And he can't receive that guidance from the living God if he's serving white supremacy and submitting to white supremacy in the same way that your black woman is out here submitting to white supremacy, going out here and believing that she has some sort of power and control over her community, and believing that she has this economic power which was given to her by this white man. And the reason why she got that power is because the black man abdicated his power, and she, buying into these false narratives of feminism, believed that she was going to get some sort of power, wound up being used as a consumer tool. And because of this, many of the black-owned businesses died, and many of the institutions that led to a strong black community died. And this is why we have your black community controlled primarily with foreign-owned businesses and the government controlling the housing, instead of black men and women owning their own homes, owning their own businesses. There is no ownership because your black man does not want to own up and submit to the authority of the living God, and he does not want to take responsibility for his God-given role as a leader. No, because what he wants to do is follow behind the woman. This is why your black community is in the sad state of affairs that it's in, because he wants to be a follower chasing the women like the whoremongers of old times, and he wants to be this plantation buck going out here having sex with as many women and never thinking once about having a marriage with a wife or a family. So this is why your black community is a mess, because your black man, he will oftentimes talk about how the black woman is a part of white supremacy, but can't take a look and see how, in some ways, in many cases, he also contributes to the same system of white supremacy and serves that same false god that his black woman also serves. If you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. And if you want to learn more about the dysfunctional state of black women and black men, you can pick up my book, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single, on Amazon.com in Kindle format. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.